Okay, so we are ready with our application. Now let's try to run the application. But before running the application, let me check that the properties value so that password is correct. So now I will able to run the application, and once the application would be started, I will be checking whether the all the endpoints are working or not. So for that, I'm opening the VS Code, and I'll be using a Thunder client to check whether all the endpoints are responding or not. So here I am having the Thunder client plugin which is installed on my VS Code. So it is getting open. Let's wait for some time. Meanwhile, we can check. Yeah, our application is started. Okay, so let's go to the VS Code and let's see that the Thunder client is working or not. Yeah, it started. Okay, and I have already tested the APIs, but what I'll be doing, I'm going to create a new request and let me check that do I have the data of student in the backend or not. So I'm typing a URL, that is http colon double slash localhost colon 8080 slash list students. Okay, and I'm clicking on send. It should give me the list of students. So here you can see that I'm having so many students there in the backend database. Okay, if you are not having a student in your backend database, you can use the post mapping and you can add the students, which I have already covered in our earlier videos. Okay, so the application is running. So now in the application, I'm going to add the support of Spring Boot security. So to add a support of Spring Boot security, what I have to do, I have to add only one dependency in the pom.xml. So to add the dependency, I have opened the pom.xml, and in the pom.xml, I'll be copying this dependency which is already there and pasting it somewhere in the pom.xml, but make sure that it should be there within the dependencies only, then and then it would work, otherwise not. Now here instead of web, I will change it to security. So this means that I'm adding the Spring Boot security to my project. Now this is not a normal project, but this is the project with the security features. Okay, let me click on the Maven icon. I'm reloading the Maven. Okay, so what will happen that the security related dependency would be downloaded and added to my project. And once this is done, and if I will run the application, okay, let me open the browser and let me show you. So here if I will try localhost colon 8080 slash list students and hitting enter, it is giving me the list of the student. Okay, but now once I will rerun the application, and if I will try to access the student list once again, it will not allow me to access the student. Yeah, okay, so here if I will refresh this, okay, it will not allow me to see the list of students, but rather than that it is asking me for the username and password. So why this have happened? This happens because that we have added this particular dependency in our Spring Boot application. So what we told to the Spring Boot application, we told to the Spring Boot application that his Spring Boot application, now whenever any request would come from the client, that should be authenticated, then and then you should allow, otherwise not. Okay, so that is what we have done. So what Spring Boot security has done for you, that Spring Boot security has created one user for you. That username would be always user. Okay, and there would be a password corresponding to this particular user. The password would be there on the console. So here you can see this is the password generated by the Spring Boot application. You can copy this password and paste it to the application. Okay, and if you will click on the sign in, it will allow you to get the access of the student list. Okay, so this is how the Spring Boot security works. So here we have learned that how to use the Spring Boot security and how the Spring Boot creates the default user for us to access the application. Here the Spring Boot application has created the uh, default user, that is the user itself with the password. Okay, so this, whenever you will rerun the application, it will generate a new password, but user is going to remain same. Okay, so that's it for this video.